Good morning, I am Adam Harris, and this is The Day Ahead.
Quick reminder to subscribe to this channel below to receive alerts and daily market analysis videos of all the key asset classes. On the economic calendar for today, we have UK Bank of England rate news at midday. Then in currencies, even after a stronger US dollar yesterday, the charts show the euro getting back up. In the commodities, metals take a proper knock, and in the global indices and equities in focus, there's no doubt now that the markets are embracing the bears in them. You could jump to any chapter by clicking on the link in the description below. Looking at currencies first, starting off with the euro against the US dollar, still within the range. We could see the reaction in yesterday's candle against as a result of the FOMC news, the US dollar rate change, and then comparing that to say cable. So effectively taking a knock with a slightly stronger US dollar, and seeing here that bit of a bearish candle there within this downtrend. If we break the low of yesterday's candle, that would make sense for price to continue down in line with the average of the 50, 20 and 10 here. But at the same time, currently we can see prices attempting to climb. So there is a part of the market there still just wondering, of course, if the US dollar, although it had a temporary strengthening, if it can actually follow through on it. CAD yen continuing lower, so that looks really, really nice. MACD nice and healthy, also continuing lower, so that very nice, happy and healthy trend, that being a very nice trend. On the other hand, Aussie Kiwi actually doing a bit of a reversal. So there we go, a bit of a reaction there against that previous level there with some divergence. So this indicating likely to be a change of trend just based off price action behavior here, that we will break this high and that we're pretty much going to take a much higher time frame retracement. Euro yen, so Euro yen continuing to test that level of support, so just waiting for that to refresh. I'll come back to that in a moment. Pound Swissie, this one now still within this range, not really doing anything at this point in time, should have continued down, so likely to remove this from my watch list, and euro yen really just sitting on that edge. So this was on my watch list as a potential breakout to the downside. You can just see here that price is sitting right on that level there. And looking at commodities on the move, just seeing that reaction for gold. Unfortunately, it took a bit of a hit. Was looking really nice, continued on upwards almost towards 1260, and then as the news came out, finished much lower for the day. A bit of a reaction there. We can see a rejection candle. We can also see a little bit of bearish divergence on the indicator there, and let's just see if we follow through on that. But if we don't manage to get to this level, obviously we're following through on that bearish indication. We're going to see price actually head potentially even back down below 1235. Silver itself following a similar route, also encountering resistance, and actually must be getting a little bit exhausted here. You can see just repeatedly hitting its head up against that 1480 level. Also a strong rejection, and we can see a slightly lower MACD, so it really not looking that happy there. Then if we have a look at UK crude oil, as well as the United States crude oil, them continuing a bit lower, so still looking relatively weak, and for my expectation for today is to still see those continue a little bit lower. We've definitely got divergence there, so we've got some bullish divergence there, just indicating that in the near future, between this week and next week, at some point we can expect a strong reaction and probably have price head back up a little bit higher. So it's definitely getting exhausted with regards to the moves down lower. Palladium still encountering strong resistance at its level here at 1200, and then having a look at Robusta, which has finally decided to do a bit of a retracement. So Robusta sits on my watch list. This is what I'm looking for, price to pull back into the moving averages, and then looking for a bearish candle as a potential swing entry for this to resume its trend to the downside. And then finishing off with lumber, which is now, after a while, it's been going sideways, consolidating, has now formed into an uptrend with that strong bullish candle there, combined with that bullish divergence we spoke about yesterday. Prices now had a strong move to the upside. So I think I can remove this from my watch list at this point in time, or potentially wait for a retracement and look for the first re-entry to the upside on the new uptrend. Now into the global indices, starting off with the Wall Street, we can just see we're starting to break through this last significant level here. So if this no longer holds for us, we're likely to see some larger, more significant moves heading lower as we head towards the next few levels. I'm going to go through actually each of them today. It's really worthwhile seeing all of them. We've got the S&P 500, which is also just on the last cliff edge before it starts to head down to the next level, as down towards 2440, and so that also looking fairly bearish. And this actually, all of this makes sense. We spoke about a potentially stronger US dollar yesterday, which would potentially knock these a little bit lower. US Tech 100 also just sitting right on that last line there of this level before it starts to hit lows again. Still levels that buyers can step in, but this is really only if we get a reversal today, because we are indeed at that cliff edge on those. As we head away from the US, we start to break a little bit low. We've got the UK 100 here also sitting close to a level, but having headed down on the weekly time frame down to this level, if we break through that, our next level is not really that far below. However, I would say that we are certainly starting to edge below that historical or significant line in the sand. We have started to head below that, so we're now sort of sitting at just below the highs of the dot-com or certainly of the mortgage crisis. So that puts us in interesting territory, because we hadn't been out of that range for a very long period compared to, say, the US. Germany also heading lower, excuse me, and Hong Kong. Australia also just showing you how much more bearish they look. Hong Kong, here we go, the Hang Seng starting to head lower. This looks very much as though that's going to head back down towards that 25,000 level. And the Australia 200 also now not able to hold in that support zone that I have been drawing for us. This one now clearly heading away from that level, so we can actually just remove that, and now starting to head down towards the next 5,400 level there. So all of these bearish across the board, starting to test those lows on some of the US markets and heading lower on the non-US indices. And then finally, on our selected equities in focus, looking at Facebook breaking lower through that level of support, which has now become resistance. That's on a weekly time frame. Looking and comparing that with, say, Apple, we can see we've also started to, similar to that Australia 200 index, we have broken through. We're just starting to head right through this level of support, that zone, starting to head lower through that. And then comparing that to, say, Amazon, which has obviously been quite bullish, and looking at this on a monthly time frame, you can actually just see how it's pretty much disregarding last month's bullish candle, back down at that line in the sand there. If we start to head lower, we're still within the buy zone on the monthly time frame, but looking very, very bearish and unlikely to change that if this level doesn't hold. Then if we move on to our more bearish indices, we've got EasyJet, and so this one actually also looking quite bearish, just in terms of, we've got a little bit of rejection candles here at this historical support level, but actually the MACD just going pretty flat. So this indicating, certainly on the momentum indicator, that it ultimately is probably going to break through that support level and head lower. And then finishing off with BP for today, BP here broken through that level yesterday. We saw previously a nice bearish candle yesterday, a bit of a bounce up from that, but actually looking at it here, we can see the MACD hitting lower. So this is relatively happy for now to come back, and let's see if it tests this level, rejects it, but momentum indicator actually showing a fresh low there, and actually saying that the momentum is nice and healthy and bearish. And on that note, ladies and gents, I want to wish you a wonderful day. If it's trending, I'll be there. Just a reminder to hit the subscribe button. If you want to stay abreast of what's happening in the market, I'll be producing and bringing you the latest in the markets every morning in a freshly produced video.